how does the soul communicator apply to my relationships in the month of August? Okay, so just as it applies to the self, we take the same um, influence that the soul communicator exercises and we begin to apply to our relationships. So, one part in the relationships is to look at all relationships, romantic or platonic, business, wherever relationships, wherever the nature of it is to look at and see, is the consensus still intact? Is the shared interest still intact? If there's not a shared interest going on, the soul communicator might, through his energetic influence, will start to maybe have you might start seeing some discrepancies in your relationships that's all revolving around not having a shared interest or the interest has shifted. And so if it has, this month you're probably going to start seeing that manifest a lot, or you're going to start seeing maybe seeds of it starting to develop. And so even if it is, the soul communicator is going to move you inside the relationship to identify it and to seek out what resolution, to problem solve it, so that way it doesn't become a problem. So there's a lot of things in seed form that falls out of alignment of shared interest, not your self interest, because remember, the soul communicator is moved by a masculine submissive energy, so it's mindful of things outside of itself, and it's looking at the collective good and the collective impact. So if things are off from shared interest versus self-interest, then the soul communicator definitely this month, through the different influence, all the archetypes going that's at play, even falling in line with your soul archetype, is going to influence you to begin to look at that and try to bring some type of resolution, right? And to implement new actions so that way the shared interest is become strengthened, and that way the self-interest can be properly placed where it needs to be. Also, within relationships is it's going to encourage you to build connections, right? To strengthen the connections you have, and also maybe expand your connections as well too. And that could even apply with romantic relationships, business relationships, and so forth. So it's just going to look at those connections as it falls in line with what the shared interest to advance whatever the focus may be. Okay. Um, it's also going to, and this applies to the self and to the relationship, is also going to look at the commerce piece. So the soul communicator is also has a straight ties in with commerce as well too. And so in the relationship and also with yourself personally is, what is your personal economy um, looking like? So the soul communicator is going to have you look at that as well too, and how's it benefiting the relationship, right? Because it's not really about yourself, it's about all those that's in your orbit or those you have partnerships with and so forth. So it's going to have you look at those things.